So now let's have a look at task 2. So in task 2, we want to check whether, so we basically want an analysis that is beyond just consistency checking. So we saw that this task 1, if we implement it, then we already have the consistency check where we can check whether a given feature model has possible configurations or not. And then in task 2, what we're going to do is we're going to try to automatically compute all the dead features of a feature model. So we get a feature model, and we would then say this is the list of features in that feature model that are dead. Or we get the other analysis that we want to implement is finding all the mandatory features, which is features that will appear in every possible product of the feature model. So it says they are implemented in the feature model analyzer. We already had a look at the feature model analyzer, but let's have a look at it again. The feature model analyzer has these dead feature names and mandatory feature names. And again, you need to implement these. So we did something similar where we checked is a feature dead or not. And if you recall how we did it, you basically also need to reuse this translation of a feature model to a formula. And then you could check what happens if you add to the formula the constraint that a specific feature must exist, right? That's very easy to add this constraint because it's simply a conjunction with the name of that feature. And you would simply try to do that one by one for each for each feature name, right? So you would maybe need to extract the feature names and then run in some loop a check whether some feature name and the formula that you got from the feature model, whether this together is satisfiable or not. So you basically need to check the exact check, but you basically would need to run limbool a few times to figure out whether or which features are dead features. And very, very similar for the mandatory features, you will also need to run limbool a few times to figure out which ones are the mandatory features. And then once you have implemented these two, you can go back to the test cases. There were test cases here that check dead feature names. So for example, for the which feature model do we get here? We get the bad feature model, and then we get all the dead feature names. So we know that it's the root and the child of the root because we know that all of the features in this bad feature model are dead features, right? So we're checking that the dead features that are computed actually contain the root and the first child. Now, this test case right now, is it going to work? There's not much implemented, so it will fail because, yeah, right now this dead features thing is not working. The implementation is what you will need to implement. Right here, it just makes an empty list and says these are the dead features, but of course, you need to take care of this to do in task 2. And very similar, there's another test case here that checks then for dead features of the car feature model. And it asserts that the root is not among the dead features. So it asserts that it's false, that the dead features contains the root of this feature model, right? Because we already saw this feature model has configurations, so the root can't be a dead feature. So then basically in the end, you should be able to run all of these test cases. All of these test cases should pass after you have implemented task 1 and task 2. You can easily add more test cases. So feel free to edit or add methods to this example feature model creator. Don't mess maybe with the existing ones because they are used by the test cases, but you can create easily more. You can copy these methods, give them a fresh name, and then you have a way to create a different feature model for your testing. You can either add them to this test in the same way where you just then copy the line and modify the test according to what you want to check, or you create new test classes. That's also fine. If you create new test classes, put them in this source test Java folder, just to make sure that they get automatically executed when you want to test the project.